guys, welcome back to Rose and Jones. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you're all feeling better than me at least. I've got this rotten cold, head cold and cough that just will not shift. Feeling pretty miserable, and I just fancied doing something a bit different, a bit of fun, and something to lift my spirits a little bit with a little bit of sugar. And yeah, so I hope nobody has just started any diets, because I apologise. I figured I'd set the scene for you. Whoops. I upended the remains of my Rose's chocolate box for you. Yeah, and obviously you don't usually get Ferrero Rocher and Lindt balls in a Rose's box, but this is just all the remains of my chocolates from Christmas. And as is tradition in Britain, we tend to eat all the good stuff out of the Rose's box and leave all the harder candies and the fudge and the caramel and all these kind of things. So you'll always see these at the end of a Rose's box, because all the good stuff's gone. But I actually noticed I've still got a caramel golden barrel. I'm going to destroy that when I finish this video. Anyway, so today I just thought it would be really fun to talk about my sweetest perfumes in my collection. I was looking through all my perfumes and figured that there's quite a few sweet ones. I do really enjoy sugary fragrances, sweet fragrances. So I thought I'd share them with you today and have a bit of fun. So I've got 10 fragrances to share with you. I actually had 9, and I figured that's just a really annoying odd number, so I've added an extra one. So I've roughly got all my perfumes set out in order of most sugary, least sugary to most sugary, at least to my nose. So we will try and do them in an order. So in 10th place, we have Feve Delicieuse by Christian Dior. I mentioned this recently. I've been wearing it a lot through winter. So in terms of sugar, this is actually a very sweet scent. This is a gourmand fragrance. I wouldn't say this was a sugary scent in the sense of sugar itself, like a sugar cube. This is a sort of luxurious, elegant and very classy, smooth sugar. It's a marzipan kind of sugar. It's a tonka bean kind of sugar. It's really, really elegant. It is really, really classy. And there's a lovely sweet and sour cherry note in here. So you've got this lovely rounded autumnal-ish gourmand fragrance, which mature, classy scent. It's really creamy. It's creamy and sparkling and sweet and luxurious, and yeah, this is all those things. But this is my 10th spot, sugary fragrance, Feve Delicieuse. 9th place we have Noir Exquisite by Artisan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. So this is a really sweet vanilla chestnut, packed full of notes. This is a fragrance that's just packed full of really beautiful notes. I mentioned this on my autumnal fragrance video. I really enjoyed wearing this in the autumn. It's got so many beautiful notes: chestnut, orange blossom, there's coffee, maple syrup. There's a beautiful maple syrup note in here, vanilla and tonka bean, all those rich, gourmand, really rich, beautiful, juicy notes. And it is such an enjoyable fragrance. It is sweet without being, you wouldn't smell it and go, oh, that's really, really sugary. But it's sweet in the most appealing, gourmand, luxurious kind of way. And yeah, I really, really enjoy this fragrance. This fragrance is much brighter than Feve Delicieuse. Feve Delicieuse is more of the sweet kind of marzipan, nutty element, lots of tonka bean. It's a tonka bean heavy fragrance. This one is more about the vanilla and the chestnut and the maple sap. If you can imagine those differences, this is much brighter, but still that beautiful gourmand, luxury, classy fragrance. So this is Noir Exquisite by Artisan. So in 8th place we have another sweet fragrance. This one leans more feminine and it's so beautiful. This is the Maison Francis Kurkdjian Gentle Fluidity Gold. This one is a really beautiful, creamy, kind of delicate, but there's still a depth in there. It's not a loud fragrance, but it lingers like a beautiful signature scent. It's the sweetness in here comes from the juniper berry and the vanilla, and there's amber and woody notes in here. It's just such a divine, decadent, creamy berry scent, but there is a lovely sweetness running through it, which keeps it just really appealing, really beautiful. Absolutely love this fragrance. If I had to compare this to a dessert, which might be a good idea to give you an idea of how the sweetness comes across in each fragrance, this would be a blueberry muffin with a big dollop of sweet cream poured on top, but without the extreme sweetness that you would get that would hurt your teeth, or my cat's playing, she's making the strangest noise, sorry about that. yeah, like a delicate, classy dessert, you know, one that's just been made with all the most beautiful ingredients. Not too much sugar, but just enough that it, you know, makes it appealing. It's very luxurious and elegant, and yeah, that's how I would describe this one. So that is Gentle Fluidity Gold by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. That's quite a cool idea. I think I'm going to jump back and do the same for the other two fragrances. And also my sunlight has just disappeared. Like the sun has been beaming through the window. It's the first sun I've seen in about a month in Britain, and now it's just completely disappeared. Feve Delicieuse, I'm just trying to think of what dessert I would give this. This would be a frangipani tart, which is like that kind of almond paste sweet tart with a little cherry on top, because you've got to put the cherry in there somewhere. So a frangipani tart with a cherry. And this one would be a much more rich, dense tart, like a pecan tart. Pecan and maple syrup tart with a chestnut sauce. Again, I apologise to anybody on a diet. So number 7, let's jump on and talk about, by Kilian, the Black Phantom. Hang on. So Black Phantom is a really sweet, still not as sweet as the other ones I'm going to mention, but this is still a very sweet fragrance. This is all about a warm caramel, a rich warm caramel kind of a sauce. The light is just jumping around in this kitchen so much, so I'm sorry about that. It's very annoying and it's completely changed again. It's quite an apt box really, because this is literally death by sugar. So I think we've got the right packaging on this one. So again, this is a caramel sauce to my nose. There's actually really rich coffee in here. There is caramel. There's rum and dark chocolate. People tend to get different things when they smell this. Whoops, I do smell the caramel in this. My nose focuses on the caramel. Lovely big fingerprint on there. And I would describe this as more of a liquid dessert. Like if you had a bowl of hot caramel, you maybe have a coffee sitting next to you, and maybe even a rum, but you've got this hot caramel, and it's just this, oh, it's just, you know, it's swimming in the bowl, and it's thick, syrupy, and it's just warm, and the smell is all around you. This is exactly what this smells like. Yeah, it's got a slightly metallic edge almost. Maybe that's just the sugar content, I don't know. But that's what this is. This is a beautiful caramel coffee fragrance. Very unisex. It's not very loud. It's not a particularly loud fragrance, but it is very warming. It's very beautiful, and it has been a lovely fragrance I've been enjoying throughout the winter. So that's Black Phantom by Kilian. Okay, number 6, we have Cloud by Arianna Grande. Can I just say how much I love this fragrance? I bought this. This is probably one of my top 5 most loved fragrances of 2019. I love the packaging. I'm an 80s child. I love anything like Care Bear-esque and, you know, things with rainbows on. It's just the way it is. Can't apologise for that. But I do love the packaging a lot. And the fragrance is, again, a very sweet, beautiful fragrance. This one has a lot of, I think it's whipped cream, and there's lavender in here. And I don't actually have the notes for this one in my little fragrance book that I have. I don't know why. But it is sweet. I think there might be a praline note in here. It's just a very sort of, I think there's mint in here as well. There's something in here that keeps it really sharp and really invigorating, but it does lean sweet in the most sort of sparkling way. Also, there's a slightly masculine nuance in here. Maybe it's the lavender or something mingling with the lavender. But I think it's a very beautiful unisex fragrance. I get so many compliments wearing this one. This has kind of been my most worn, most recognised fragrance that people notice on me throughout last year. Focusing on, obviously, the sweetness in here, I would compare this to... What would I compare this to in terms of dessert? I think because of the bright, fresh thing going on in here, I'm going to say it was, if you can imagine, a lavender and spearmint ice cream with chunks of praline in it. Something like that. That's how I would describe this if it was a food. But it is, yeah, I've got a real soft spot for this fragrance. I absolutely love this. So this is Cloud by Ariana Grande. Okay, so 5th place we have the Lancome La Nuit Tresor. So this is there's quite a few flankers in this line actually. This is the only one I've tried from the Tresor line. My husband bought me this back Christmas 2018. I haven't actually reached for it a lot, and I really wanted this fragrance when I asked for him for it. But that was the start of this whole crazy year of fragrances. My start of my complete obsession, if you like, of fragrances. And so many fragrances I've bought have just swamped this one. I just have not reached for it, and which is a shame because it is a really beautiful fragrance. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's a beautiful fragrance for evening or day wear. It's really sweet. It's very fruity. It's got notes of caramel, there's praline, there's tonka bean, coffee. It's packed full of beautiful fragrances. There's lots of fruits in here. There's rose, there's a vanilla orchid, which I think is a made up note apparently, vanilla orchid. I think we'll just say vanilla because, you know, that's probably easier. It doesn't have a lot of depth, I would say, of this one. It's not, or maybe a slight depth. It's not, I think it's a straight up sweet, berry floral, I think you'd say. But I think it's well rounded because it's nothing particularly jumping out at me. So, but it is the sweetness in here that I think is the appealing part of this. It's obviously I am drawn to rose more than anything, so perhaps my nose is detecting a bit of rose in here. But it's like a candied berry rose. I think the berries is what stands out the most. So the dessert I would describe this as would be maybe a strawberry eaten mess, which sounds actually really sweet. I don't think it's that sweet. It's an earthiness in here as well. Let's say maybe a brambleberry eaten mess. That's kind of where my mind goes when I smell this. There's just enough sweetness that it's definitely a dessert. It's definitely a sweet dessert. But there's a lovely berry, I don't know if it's a strawberry or what berry it is, but it's a lovely berryness in here. So we're going to go with a brambleberry eaten mess. That sounds nice enough, I think. So that's La Nuit Tresor by Lancome. Okay, so 4th place we have a fragrance that I apologise, I do talk about a lot. I think it's been in nearly every single one of my videos, but it seems to fill every category. It seems to sit in every category, which I guess is not a bad thing. It just means that I really love it. This is the Lancome Oud Bouquet. This is a very strong fragrance. It's very loud, it's very projecting, so the sugar content in here is a lot more projecting, so that makes it obviously very sweet. It's praline, there's saffron in here, there's vanilla, there's rose. The praline is very strong, so it's kind of a really smooth, decadent sweetness, a really beautiful, decadent fragrance. The food I would compare this to, or you know, think that it was like, I would say this is like a Turkish delight that's got a spicy praline chocolate coating around it, and it's very strong. It's a little bit Eastern, and it's really decadent, something you'd have in a really festive or really you know, celebratory occasion. It's something like that, and it's very rich, and if it was a sweet, you'd only have one of them because it would be packed full of just calories. So that's how I would describe Oud Bouquet Lancome. So 3rd place we've got the very delectable, very sexy Roses Berberanza by Maison Lancome. So this one I've talked about before. I just love this fragrance. It is so me. It's the rose content in here. It's just enough that it's very me. So the sweetness in here comes from really rich fermented fruits. They're not listed as fermented. As I said before, there's a funky note in here. I think it's the pistachio. There's rose, pistachio, there's raspberry, there's honey, there's rum, and everything is amped up to the full. I think there's a rich honey. The raspberries are covered in honey. They're covered in the rum. Things have been soaking in rum. Things are going way into fermentation stage. Everything is getting really boozy and really alcoholic. The rose in here is keeping its true rose fragrance. It's not getting caught up too much with the other party of fruits happening. And the rose is just smooth, and it's classy, and it's extremely beautiful. And that's how I describe this scent: a boozy, very sugary, rosy, kind of tropical fruit punch cocktail thing. So I wouldn't describe this as a dessert, I would describe it as a drink, as a cocktail, fruit cocktail with tons of rum and sugary, like fruit liqueur perhaps, and then maybe a rose liqueur in there as well, and just a real calorie rich cocktail. That's how I would describe this, and it is absolutely stunning, and it deserves to be in number 3 spot because, like I say, it's very, very sugary as well. So this is Rose's Berberanza, and this is Lancome. So in second place here we have a fragrance that makes no apologies for its sugar content. It is, by name and by packaging, it is screaming, I have sugar in me. This is the Juicy Couture. This is Sucre. And I can't just say how much I like this bottle, this design. It's a little bit tacky, it's a little bit OTT, but I really do actually love it. It's so extra. Yeah, this is a very sugary fragrance. It's got notes of whipped cream, there's fruits, there's vanilla bean, there's a ton of notes in here. I don't have them all listed, but there is an absolute load of sweet notes, and I think one of them is in fact mandarin. There's a lovely sweet mandarin, slightly citrus note in here that's keeping it quite sharp and quite bright. I've once described this as being so sugary that it's metallic, like the way your teeth feel when you've eaten too much sugar. Yeah, it has a sweet, very sweet metallic edge to it. It's a very young fragrance. It's a fragrance that reminds me of ones I would wear when I was a little girl. It has that, yeah, it has that very sweet, very appealing nature to it that young girls would really be drawn to, or anyone really, but you know what I mean. It's very youthful. I love this fragrance. I don't wear it very often. In fact, I do tend to wear it when I'm not feeling very well, if I'm in the evening or whenever, just because it kind of picks you up a little bit. It's happy, it's bright, it's youthful. It's really, really very lovely fragrance. And I was quite lucky to get this. It's not very available in Britain. I think you can still buy this in America, but it's really not available in Britain. I got this through eBay. Someone was selling it, which was quite lucky. It's only I think it's a 30ml, but I don't reach for it very often, so that's plenty for me. I would compare this to a plate of sugar cubes. Yeah, a plate of sugar cubes with the tiniest bit of mandarin drizzle on them, and then you go and brush your teeth with spearmint toothpaste, and then you just got all that going on in your mouth. Yeah, it's not a pleasant feeling, but in a scent, it's probably more bearable. So that is Sucre by Juicy Couture. So in first place, we've got a perfume here that is going to be so sweet that it will literally destroy your diet and ruin your figure. This is Arianna Grande, Thank You Next. This has only got a few notes. It's got 6 notes. It's pear, raspberry, there's rose, coconut, macaroons, and musk. I think the coconut is coconut milk. I heard that somewhere. But this is sugary, sweet sugar. Sugary. It's so creamy as well. There's a real creaminess in here. I'm sure the coconut is coconut milk. I got my notes from Fragrantica, and you know how that can be. I think the macaroon here is covering a lot of sins. I think if they broke it down, you would probably have things like vanilla and sugar and almonds and paste and loads of things. But a lot of delicious sweet dessert elements happening in this fragrance, minus any kind of chocolate or deep kind of sweetness in that respect. This is all about the bright, sugary, fruity, creamy. Like if you take all the, just for example, you take, I haven't got one actually. If we had a like more of a caramelly one with fruits in, like if you get the ones with the orange in here and you break it open, take away the chocolate, and you're left with just that lovely syrupy, creamy content. That's kind of what this is in a bottle, really. You've got all that in a bottle. You've got that creaminess in here, which is just so amped up, like melted marshmallows. And then the sugar content in here, instead of describing it as a sugar cube, it's almost like it's powdered sugar. There's a powdery sugariness in here, but there's so much of it. And everyone that's smelt this on me has said, my God, it's so sweet, it's too sweet. It's, I don't know, the creaminess makes it maybe a hint of luxury, like a creamy soap or something. I really enjoy this fragrance. Just giving it another sniff. It hits you. The creamy, sweet fruits really hit you straight away. You haven't got to search for them. They're just right there at the surface. And I once described this as the Sugar Plum Fairy being on her holidays and drinking and getting completely, you know, drunk off her head, and on Malibu or cocktails and punch, and that's exactly what this is. Because there's a kind of girly innocence to this, that creamy element or something. There you go, that's my number one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. These are all the sweetest fragrances I have in my collection. Do you have any of these? What are your absolute favourites? Do you even like sugary fragrances, gourmand style fragrances? And what are the ones that you love the most? I'd really love to know. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to leave it there. I hope I've kept it short and sweet, pun intended. And I will most definitely catch you again on the next one. Take care now. Bye.